Okay, let's finish up this problem. So we know that A belongs to the major axis and is 6. So the minor axis is always B. Okay, so B squared is 9. So B would be plus or minus 3. And you're going to move plus or minus 3 on the x-axis. Okay, so if we graph that, then we're going to go over here and go 3 plus or minus. And then there's your ellipse. Now, the other thing that's really important is to find C. Okay, and guys, the reason to remember you need C is because that's where the 2 points are that help you make the ellipse, right? You take the center and you stretch it out a little bit with these, remember we did it with the push pins? You're going to stretch the push pins out, and you can use those push pins with the string to make the ellipse. The formula, though, for C, remember C squared equals, okay, and it's A squared minus B squared. So to find C, in other words, how much am I going to move the push pins, right? In other words, what's the distance from this center point to your foci, all right? So A is 36 minus B squared is 9, so C squared equals 36, take away 9. Right, so you end up with 27. So C actually is the square root of 27, which you have to reduce that. Okay, so that's the same thing as 3 root 3. So you're going to slide the foci plus or minus 3 root 3. Well, as far as graphing goes, though, that doesn't help us out much. So get your calculator and actually find the value of 3 root 3, and that will help you solve that problem as far as which way to graph it. Okay? All right, so 3 root 3 is approximately 5.2, okay? And remember, we slide the foci on the major axis. So the major axis in this case is y. So we're going to come here to the center, and we're going to go up and down 5.2, which is almost going to be to where we were. So there's your foci, 5.2 up and 5.2 down, okay? Kind of hard to label because it's almost at 6. Now then, the hardest part kids have trouble with is actually finding the name of those 2 points. So let me let you think about something for a second. If I'm at the center at 0, 0, and I slide up and down, okay, I'm going to slide up and down. I'm not sliding left and right. Okay, so if my original was 0, 0, if I don't slide left and right is x, right? I'm not changing my x. This is going to be 0, 0, this is 0 something, and down here is 0 something. So since I'm not changing the x in my 2 new foci, the zeros are going to stay the same, right? They're both going to be 0 something. But I did slide them, and I slid them 3 root 3. So on the y value, I was here at 0, and I slid this one up 3 root 3. So 0 plus 3 root 3 is just 3 root 3. And then on this one, I slid it down, so 0, because that's where we were, minus 3 root 3 is negative 3 root 3. So those are your 2 points. Now let's find the length of the major axis and the minor axis. The length of the major axis would be 2 6s, so you're at 12. And the length of the minor would be 2 3s, so you're at 6. Okay, for number 4. For number 4, with an ellipse, it has to end in a 1. So to get rid of this 72, we're going to divide everything by 72. So now you're at 2 divided by 72, so this gives you x squared over 36. 8 divided by 72 is 9, so y minus 6 squared over 9 equals 1. So the center of this graph, you look here, it's going to be 0, 6. Okay, remember that the biggest is always a squared. So in this case, a would be 6, positive and negative 6. And which axis are we going to move 6 on, the x or the y? The x-axis. I'm going to put that below it so that I realize, okay, on the x-axis, I need to move left and right 6. That's my major axis. A and x go together in an ellipse for a major. Okay. Now on this one, B, Okay, b is going to be plus and minus 3, and we're going to go plus and minus 3, and you look here on the y-axis. All right, so if we graph this 0, 6, okay, 6 on the x-axis, so 6 left and right, and 3 up and down. So here is your ellipse. Now the C. Guys, we have to graph the foci. Remember, the foci is kind of like the push pins. We started here, and to make it, we took push pins and we slid them equidistance from the center, right? We took 2 push pins and we just split them out, okay? So C, remember, is found by taking a squared minus b squared. So in this case, it would be 36 minus 9. So C squared, okay, is the same as it was before, 27. So C is the square root of 27, which would be the same as 3 root 3. So C is plus or minus 3 root 3, or approximately 5.2. So we're going to move 5.2 on the major axis. Okay? This time, the major axis is x. So 5.2 this way, and 5.2 this way are your foci. Now I have to actually write the foci points. So if I'm going to move left and right on the foci, okay, left and right, sorry, on the x-axis to get my foci. So I'm going to move left and right. Moving left and right to come up with these points affects the x-axis, not the y. So the y-axis would stay the same. They're both 6. The x is what changes. So I need to take, I was at 0, right? I was at 0, and I moved to the right, so plus 3 root 3. And then I was at 0, and I moved to the left, so minus 3 root 3. So this becomes 3 root 3 and negative 3 root 3. And the major axis length is 12, and the minor is 6. All right, flip to the next problem. This one says, write equation of ellipse from the given graph. I think that these kind of problems are actually easier. Right, in order to write the equation, remember, we're going to need the center, okay, that's important, okay, so the center is negative 1, 5, okay, we also need A and B, right, and sometimes you even need C dependent, and we'll get more into that tomorrow. Okay, A belongs to the major axis. Okay, and so you need to know which axis is major. Well, I think this one's longer, right? So the x-axis is major, and it moved four steps. And the b is the minor, and it moved 2. So A would be 4, and B is 2. So when you write your equation, you're going to say x plus 1 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals 1, right? Because we're an ellipse. And then underneath it, we need a squared and b squared. Well, the major axis is the x-axis. So a squared goes under the x, which is 16. So 2 squared goes here. So here's your equation.